What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another match preview. The Premier League is back and we can say goodbye to the international breaks for a while now, which is music to all our ears. Obviously, we got Leeds at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Sunday, 4:30 kickoff, and you know where to catch the watch along. 4:30 with John and either me or Sim, depends if Sim's back or not. But yeah, John, how are you feeling about this game coming into it?
Yeah, I think this is the perfect game to sort of turn things around. New era, renaissance period. Let's get the 3 points, and I think we're all going to start believing then, aren't we? Yeah. Well, not when I mean start believing, realistically in terms of what's achievable this season.
What is it realistically achievable this season?
I guess top 4 is achievable. I think realistically, I think 5th would be a good season. I think that, and I don't think we should be too.
In the cup.
Well, that would be tremendous. I'd definitely take that.
Well, would you say 5th and no trophies would be a good season for you?
Would it be a good season? It would be a commendable season given where we are now. But I think we should get to. A League Cup final. I think we can do it.
Yeah, well, we've got to get past West Ham first in the quarterfinals.
I know.
But when you're looking at the past form against Leeds, Spurs against Leeds, last season we beat them at home 3-0, but we lost 3-1 away to them.
Yeah,
and
shocker, that one.
And when you're looking at Leeds, like last season, they were high-flying, they were scoring loads of goals, outrunning every team, looking like a really solid outfit. What's happened to them this season?
I think this generally does happen when teams come up. They normally have a lot of belief, and there's a residual roll-on effect from coming up together. And you'll even find teams that come up historically through the playoffs, and get through in the final. They often do better than the teams that came up in their own right. Finishing top or second. You'll find there seems to be a lot of a kind of residual morale effect, and then that kind of
galvanise together.
Kind of galvanises them, especially for the first part of the season. You'll find that's when they're at the most dangerous, and then towards the end of the season, when they sort of start falling down the league a little bit, the belief gets drained out of them, and then actually towards the end of the season you'd rather play a team that's just come up that way. So I think this is like the second season curse a little bit, and I think it's sort of reality's hitting.
They got a top manager in there, Marcelo Bielsa. I do feel that Leeds will be all right this season. I think that they got some good players there. They got a good manager there. And when you look at last season, right, the first half of the season, they were leaking goals left, right and centre. And then Bielsa saw that and he tweaked a few things. And then they sort of shored up the defence and started to become like a really solid outfit. So that tells me I think Bielsa can still tweak things, and he's got a lot of injuries as well to deal with. I think that when these injuries come back and he makes a few tactical tweaks, I think they'll be all right. And they're still set for probably like a mid-table finish or something.
I mean, I think you even mentioned at one point maybe Bielsa for Spurs Spurs job. So that's how much he was being touted last season. So whether or not he can pull this Leeds team back up to where it was this time, last season, jury's out a little bit, but still early on in the season, isn't it?
Yeah, these are the kind of last 5 games we've played against Leeds. Obviously, only 2 games in the recent future. Before that, 2004, 2003. But it was quite a resounding victory when we played them last year at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 3-0. That was like just at the end of our kind of good period last season, around beginning of January?
I'm trying to remember. I remember it was a little bit topsy-turvy, but we got that win. I can't remember what the other wins around that were. Can you remember?
I know that we lost that game that we lost to Liverpool was quite close to there.
Yeah, I think that was kind of like a rescue game, wasn't it?
Yeah,
when we were sort of starting to sort of dip a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, and then obviously we lost to them 3-1 later on.
Yeah, that was poor because that was the game that we needed to win that.
Yeah.
To have any chance.
Yeah, exactly. But looking at the game, do you think that because before the international break, pundits were talking, or not pundits, but quite reliable journalists were talking about Spurs moving to two up top, maybe a 5-3-2, I think it was. But with all the injuries, do you think that the formation change is going to happen, or you think he'll just keep it as it was because of the amount of injuries we've got at the moment?
Exactly. I think you have to keep it as it is at the moment. And I think that, to be honest with you, Sonny does so much hard work for the team dropping back as well. He starts pulling the strings as well. So I think it would be, if you're just going to have two men up top, then you kind of kill a lot of that out of the game. I think you're going to have to require a big team effort with people coming back in this game and helping each other out. So yeah, and especially with the injuries as well. I mean, look at the creativity. Where's the creativity going to come from?
Yeah. Yeah, and when you're looking at this Leeds side, I mean, is there anyone in there that have? I mean, I don't know if you've seen much of Leeds this season, but is there anyone in there that kind of impresses you?
No, I don't really watch much Leeds, to be honest with you. Well, who do you think?
I mean, the one player that really stands out for me is Rafinha on that right-hand side of the wing. I mean, he's an absolute massive talent. I would love him at Spurs. I really would. I think he would slot straight in there. He starts for Brazil on that right-hand side as well, gets in there instead of Lucas Moura. I mean, Lucas doesn't even get called up for Brazil anymore, but Rafinha is a very, very good player. I think he's already got 5 goals to his name this season. So he's one that we definitely need to look out for. Another player in Patrick Bamford, I mean, he was great last season, scoring a lot of goals, but he's been injured and he will be injured for this game. So
if they're going to hurt us, where are they going to hurt us? Where's our vulnerable areas?
Our vulnerable areas? Well, seeing as Romero's out, it's got to be the centre-back options with Davis, Dyer and one of Sanchez or Rodon, probably Sanchez. So I think that's definitely our vulnerable spot. I think we're vulnerable maybe in behind the fullbacks as well. And maybe with Winks in midfield through the middle as well. I mean, we could be quite vulnerable this weekend, but with Conte coming in, I think all these players will be raising their game, especially for the initial part. So I think we do win this game.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. And it also depends on how much control of the ball we've got. I think certain players will look a lot better, especially Winks, if we're camped out in their half for most of the game. If we're getting, high percentage of possession, then I think he won't be exposed so much. I think if we're very stretched and it goes a little bit off the cuff, a little bit kind of like an FA Cup game. It could go that way, couldn't it? Then I think there's certain players like Winks and Sanchez, it's sort of, your heart might be in your mouth a little bit.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Just a little bit, yeah.
But when you're looking at the form of these two sides coming into it, it's not too dissimilar. The last 5 games, 2 wins each. They've got 2 draws and we've got 2 losses, and then they've got 1 loss and we've got 1 draw. So it's not too dissimilar. Look, we've scored the same amount of goals. We've just conceded like 3 more than them. So
they've only won 1 away game out of the last 5.
Yeah. And so have we, but we've won 3 home games.
We've won 3 home games out of the last 5, so that's pointing to a Spurs win, I'd say.
That is pointing to a Spurs win, but with a side like Leeds, how good they were last season, they could easily just turn it on just for 1 game, couldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, you could say that about any team, couldn't you, really?
Yeah, but why I'm saying it specifically about Leeds is because they could give anyone a game last season. They were brilliant. They outran everyone. They got battered in a few games, but they definitely came up against some of the big teams last year and got results. Yeah,
it's just whether or not they turn it up against us or not.
Yeah.
I think if it was like a West Ham, they'd make it their cup final, but I'm not sure if Leeds would.
Yeah, very true. But going into it, I mean, score predictions?
Yeah, I'm going to go for 2-1. I still think that we're trying to build a lot more robustness at the back. We've had a couple of changes as well with the lineup, with the injuries and suspensions. So I don't think we're totally watertight at the back, but I do feel like we're going to win this game. I do feel like we've got 2 goals in us.
You're going 2-1?
2-1.
You're going 2-1. I'm going to go 2-0. I think we should be kind of dispatching of this team without conceding. Yeah, I know Rafinha, I said, he's a major danger man. But if you look at the other 2 players, this is our predicted lineup for Leeds. If you look at the other attacking players out there, I mean, Harrison's a good player, but I don't think he's really hit it this season. Rodrigo, he's more of a backup for Bamford. I mean, he scored a couple of goals this season, but hasn't really hit the heights of Bamford. And Dan James coming in from Man United, I mean, he hasn't exactly been a world beater.
What's Cooper like?
As of yet, Cooper's brilliant. But only
I like that. You did a predictive lineup for Leeds as well.
Yeah, so this is like, when you're looking at these players, I mean, they're not really the top echelon of players. When you look at the players that are injured, Bamford, one of their best players last season. Junior Firpo from Barcelona, they signed him this summer, who's come in and looked really good. Luke Ayling as well, he was a mainstay in their defence last season. And Robin Koch as well, he was a mainstay in their team last season. So a really depleted Leeds side really coming to the Tottenham Stadium this weekend.
Yeah. So how do you see the game going then? Like, do you think we're going to get on the front foot straight away and put pressure on them and sort of dominate the ball first half? Or?
That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see us pressure them from the beginning, getting an early goal, pressure Leeds to come out a bit more, and then maybe hit them on the break and steal that win. So that's how I kind of see the game going. I think we'll make a fast start, and then the game will play out from there, really. What are you feeling?
I feel like it's going to be quite a polished, cohesive performance, if you know what I mean. I don't want to see a stretch like FA Cup sort of, like last year against Everton style game. You know, I just want to see quite a well-structured game with balance. And I think that's what Conte's going to bring, actually.
And that's what Conte was alluding to last week at the game against Everton and the game against Vitesse as well. After Vitesse, he was like, I don't like these kind of games.
Yeah.
I don't like these games where anyone can win the game. We want to be solid in defence. We want to win the game, and we don't want to give the opposition any options to win the game. And that's what I'm looking for this weekend.
Well, I even noticed that in the first 10 minutes against Vitesse. It just looked very polished, and as if the players had been playing with each other for a long time and they'd got used to each other. No, sorry. Under a Conte system, if you know what I mean. And that surprised me. I know it was only Vitesse, but I'm looking for a performance that looks very well balanced, and it's not very leaky, if you know what I mean. You don't feel like your heart's in your mouth and it's sort of very stretched, last ditch. If I can see that, I'll be very, very happy with that. Even if it means like scraping a 1-0 or something like that, I think that'll be good.
All right, and last, let's just go through and look at the ones to watch for Leeds. We've already mentioned Rafinha scored 2 goals in his last 2. And
what's with the Illuminati goal celebration there?
You got to ask Rafinha that. It was like Dele Alli used to do that, didn't he? Something similar.
Oh dear.
And then obviously they've got the hard man in defence, Liam Cooper. Any relation?
Coops.
But those are the ones to watch for Leeds. John is going 2-1 to Spurs. I'm going 2-0 to Spurs.
Goal scorers?
Harry Kane. I'm going to go for Harry Kane at the double.
For the double?
Yeah. What are you going for?
I think a Kane penalty just to get him off the mark, get him going. And it's probably going to be Sonny and Kane.
All right, loving that. Obviously, you can catch us on the watch-along just before 4:30. We'll be going live at 4:15 for the watch-along. Prior to that, you can catch the pre-match pump-up with David Harris.
Go on, Harris.
And then after the watch-along, you can catch us on the post-match fan show, where it is your chance to have your say. Looking forward to seeing you all on Sunday. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.